Between them, they have more than 100 years of experience trapping animals in the woods of eastern Manitoba. Retired life for 77-year-old Ray Henschel and 61-year-old Al Kotowich means a lot of time outdoors in Whiteshell Provincial Park doing what they love. Together, they set traps for fur-bearing creatures on Henschel's trap lines, and that includes beaver.
The first beaver of the day.
Yeah.
A wonderful thing.
Pay for the gas, right?
Maybe.
There are tens of thousands of people across Canada doing what Henschel and Kotowich are doing, but it's more of a passion than a quest for a big paycheck for many in 2017. Given the controversy surrounding their chosen passion, one might wonder why they continue.
Come here. Come on. Come here. Where I go, he's got to go. That's the trouble.
For Ray Henschel, trapping has always been a family affair.
Hey, that's nice.
Generations of Henschels have been living just outside of Whiteshell Provincial Park since the early 1900s. It's where Ray's father, Alex Henschel, taught him and his siblings how to trap, and Ray in turn taught his sons. What about this guy here?
That's a Martin. Martin or Sable?
Martin or Sable.
Yes.
Aptly named the Animal Farm, the den in Henschel's home is a monument to a life of trapping and hunting, and to the memory of his father.
Dad had 7 brothers, and 6 of them trapped.
Ray took home less than $700 on trapping this season, a far cry from the big bucks his dad used to rake in. In the 1930s, Ray's father Alex made enough on fur in one busy season to purchase a quarter section of land, where he and his wife Emma raised a family. Alex Henschel wrote a book of memoirs chronicling the highlights and near-fatal missteps trapping in the remote wilderness. The Henschels built several cabins in the Whiteshell over the years, including one on Horseshoe Lake. Alex passed away almost 20 years ago. Today, Ray cherishes those stories and trapping more than ever.
Doing what he did, doing what he loved, just carrying it on.
It has not been a boring 50-some years, I tell you.
What keeps driving him out there?
Oh, he enjoys it very much.
Erica Henschel still has a beaver fur coat left to her by Ray's mother, sewn together from parts of about 100 beavers Alex trapped. It took that many to get just the right set of matching browns.
It was very precious to her, so I was very excited when she gave it to me.
You still wear them?
No, it's just that people don't like it too much.
Times have changed. The European appetite for beaver fur lured thousands over to North America in the 16th and 17th century. The fur trade ushered in a centuries-long wave of colonialism that swept west through Canada's dense woodlands. Europeans traded goods with Indigenous groups for sought-after animal pelts, and got a lesson in surviving Canada's harsh winters and buggy summers. The Hudson's Bay Company entered the scene in 1670 and was a powerhouse in the trade for more than 300 years. Eventually, sales started to drop.
After 320 years, the historic Hudson's Bay Company is getting out of the fur trade altogether.
The Bay pulled completely out of the fur business in 1991.
Whether it's fashion-driven or otherwise, it's certainly not the business it used to be a decade ago.
Furs hit the Bay stores again in the late 1990s, but the earning potential for the average trapper has never been the same. Ray Henschel and Al Kotowich barely sell enough fur some years to cover their fuel costs. But like for most trappers, it's not just about the money.
I think that there's a connection to the culture and to the land that trapping has. This is woodworking tools that they would have had.
Kevin Brownlee is the curator of archaeology with the Manitoba Museum and studies Indigenous artifacts of the boreal forest. His family is from Norway House Cree Nation. He says trapping represents something deeply meaningful for Indigenous communities.
We're on the land, we use the resources, and that is probably trumps any other reason why trapping is important.
But not everyone agrees trapping should have a future. Some argue Canada's heritage industry is no longer necessary because of the ample supply of synthetic alternatives for clothes. Others say it isn't always bad when traditions or jobs disappear, especially if they involve the killing of animals.
It's not a proud part of our heritage, that's for sure.
Animal rights advocate Debbie Wall believes there's no need for fur in 2017.
And the bottom line is that all these animals feel pain, and fur is not a necessary item.
These traps now, they're, like I said before, they're very lethal. nothing suffers. Nothing is left hanging by a foot or dangling or freezing to death.
Back out on Horseshoe Lake, Ray and Al are in their element, where it's clear the trappers are after something more elusive than animals.
Getting out there, seeing the lakes, and Al always says, "Oh, we're in God's country." So that's the way it should be.
They say they trap because they love the wilderness and its solitude, what they feel smartphone-addicted generations may be losing sight of in the internet age. And they remain hopeful Canadians will be trapping for years to come.
Not a bad day. That's a good day. Trapping gets you close to the animals, right?
Yeah.
You learn their habits, and nobody knows a beaver like a trapper knows a beaver.
They hope their passion for trapping doesn't end with their generation. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Whiteshell Provincial Park.